Good morning. Uh, Today I would like to talk about something, and I would like to talk about it, relating it to the United States of America in this case. The first thing I'm going to say is that the subject that I'm going to talk about it's not an exclusive of the actions of the United States of America. It's the consequences of the actions of war, same consequences that Russia will have right now, same consequence Israel will have, the same consequence people will have in Sudan. Okay? But today I'm going to be talking about the United States. You see, I saw a documentary about the effects of Agent Orange in the populations of Vietnam. Now, if you don't know, Agent Orange contains a lot of chemical compounds, ingredients, sorry, and they are related to cancer, to birth defects, to diseases in the immune system, you know, uh, to I think you understand what the effects are. Okay, they have a wide range of effects on the human body, on the environment, and it's not just because the bombs fell many years ago, in the 60s and in the 70s, that they still do not create effects in the society of those countries right now. Okay, Vietnam is now reaching about the fifth generation from the Vietnam War, and there are a larger number of birth defects, of diseases that are directly related with the actions of the United States of America. Now, if you don't know why the United States used Agent Orange, it's basically to clean up bushes, forests. It's a defoliant agent, meaning it burns and it kills the foliage, and people cannot hide in it. One of the reasons why the Viet Congs, built tunnels under the land, because that way they continue to move about outside of the observation of the American invaders, call them as they are. They claim they were there to defend the the Vietnamese. Uh, their claim is as valid as the one from the other side, from the Soviets and the Chinese. Mid ground, all of them were responsible for it. All of them, in both sides. Okay, but I am talking about the consequences that the countless wars of influence the United States of America have brought to the world. And as I said, and I will repeat it again so this is clear, the Soviet Union also has consequences to pay from their actions. So does China. So do some countries in Europe. Okay, but today, again, I will repeat myself so I don't get any dumbass comments that then I have to delete because they are so stupid. I cannot even understand what the hell people want, or if by any chance have they ever seen a documentary, a newsreel of the time, or even read a bloody book. Okay? Now, let's continue with the consequences of the United States actions in times of war of influence. Now, I was talking about Vietnam. Let's just stick to Vietnam a little bit. Now, you have thousands of children that were born out of out of the relationship between GIs and between Vietnamese. In the late years, some GIs have sought their sons and their daughters, and they have connected, and they have even brought some of them home. And after the war ended, when the Americans after war ended, no, let's call it as it is. After the Americans retreat, being defeated, a lot of those results of those wedlocks returned with their parents back to the United States. Okay, but a lot of them just were left behind, and they were not treated well. They were called the sons of the wind, if you don't know. And that is also an interesting theme subject a lot of you Americans should really watch. Hmm? Now, but the consequences to the environment, to the people, are enough to say maybe they are entitled to compensations. And me personally, I don't believe in compensations. I don't think that solves anything, like those black guys and black girls in the United States of America claiming they were brought as slaves and the white man did it to him, when in fact most of them were sold by African or even Muslim, which is even more funny because they associate Islam with some kind of ancient religion of their land when they were in fact selling the slaves first to the Portuguese and the Spanish, then after the English and the Dutch and the French took over the business to them, and later on to the Americans. Okay, but I don't believe in that. But when I'm talking about compensations, first of all, I'm talking about admitting what was done clearly. And then, for example, why not set up the US aid that the Americans have been so desperately removing, burning all the bridges of their soft power across the world? But why not set up some aid from the USA to set up schools, to help doctors, and oh, they are not a friendly nation. Who cares? If you go to them and you say, look, this happened, we know you've been having troubles with this. What I'm proposing is this: we'll bring in doctors and specialized personnel. We will build, for example, I don't know, hospitals or schools for disabled people, and we will try to help you to, I don't know how to say this, but not mend, because mend, again, since I don't believe in compensations, I also don't believe in this, but mending mending the effects the war had on you. And if you tell me, well, doesn't China and the Soviet Union or their heirs, the Russians, have a moral and ethical obligation to do so? Yes. Yes, they have. But one should never think of what others must do. One should think of what I should do. And this will be a great attitude. It would change dramatically the opinion of many people in the countries that traditionally so-called hate the Americans and the American way. It would not mend everything. Because it's like this, I'm hated by a lot of people, and well, to be frank, I don't care. I'm not going to go after people just because they don't like me, or to try to endear myself in their eyes so they don't like me. If they don't like me, they don't like me. Who cares? And this is also an attitude you should have. But I'm talking about politics here. I'm talking about soft power. I'm talking here about a moral code, a moral compass that would avoid things like the ones that are happening in Gaza right now. Because if there was a moral compass, the first attitude of the United States would not to support a full-blown invasion of a piece of land that is subjected to another country. Okay? And if you say the attack of Hamas was enough to cause this, your opinion. My opinion is that if Israel was the bigger person here, instead of making a blind barrage of invasion, instead they would remove the civilians. But when I mean remove, not at gunpoint, I mean talk to Jordan and say, look, we need to set up a temporary shelter because we are going to invade Gaza to seek out the terrorists and our hostages, and we need to have a zone that can be secured where people can receive aid from the UN, where people can receive aid from Israel, and where people can be treated like people. Instead of that, they did what that comedian, I don't like him very much, but he has a good moral compass. Bill Burr said that Israel is killing the baby behind which a terrorist is hiding. And this is exactly what Israel is done. Because you see, you can tell me there are terrorists hiding under their houses, under their churches, because there are Christians there. They are hiding under their mosques. They are hiding under the living blocks. They are living in the middle of them. And that is an idea that is perfectly possible. But the saying here is, does that justify killing people? And you have to consider all that is behind, all the situation of Israel, how it began, how it is now. When if you call someone like me that is questioning that an anti-Semitic, then you are a bloody fool. Because an anti-Semitic is someone that, for example, does not like Jewish people or Hebrews, to be more concrete. And me personally, I told you this before, I don't care who your imaginary friend is. I know who my friend is. If you have a different one, I could not care less. Because that is, to me, religion is a personal thing. It should not influence your logic and your intellect and your ability to see the world in a logic way. If there's gravity, you will fall. Okay? No magical prey will stop you from falling. There is no such thing as magic. And any magician will tell you that. Okay? Let's continue. But Israel could have done this. And even if the first thing they should do is to negotiate, this would be the next step. But did you see what Israel did? They simply advanced. And they did all the murders we have been seeing. And then you have the zealots and the indoctrinated population saying things like, "Look, kill them all." But there are children, there are women there. No matter they're animals, kill them all. And you cannot tell me this is a lie because I saw it. I heard it. Okay? We saw the most unbelievable thing here is that all over Europe, all over the world, except certain parts, like for example in the United Kingdom, where it's absolutely difficult to see actual news pieces about this, and the United States, we saw it. You know, I saw a Palestinian woman walking with her children, waving a white flag, being shot by a laughing IDF soldier. I saw it. What? You are going to tell me that woman was a terrorist? So what? What if she was a terrorist? And what if she carried, I don't know, tons of C4 underneath her garments? Or that her children, instead of taking some juice in a box, were actually taking gasoline? Does that justify killing them? Are they legitimate targets? Okay, so then the terrorists are also right in considering your civilians legitimate targets. You don't like this? You think this is anti Semitic? You are killing out of hate. You are not killing out of logic. They are killing out of hate. They are not killing out of logic. And you persist in this mentality, and this is the US's mentality. For example, for the US, it was nothing supporting South American dictators as long as they eliminated the threat of those days that was communism or leftist movements. And they were indeed a threat. Yes, they were. No, make no doubts about it. I know we suffered it here too in Portugal after the revolution. They nearly were successful in installing a Stalinistic style Soviet republic over here. And they are still here. And they are still in the news speaking their crap, just like the right wing is also speaking their crap. So it solved absolutely bloody nothing. And if we are going to talk about history, well, President Carter, the Germans, and the French played a pivotal role in stopping that from happening in Portugal and from stopping a civil war that some people say never existed, but I say it existed because people died. If people died, there was a civil war. If it was a big one, a little one, I don't care. Let's continue. But you see the US doing all of these actions all over the world: Iraq, Afghanistan, you know, Israel. And then you are surprised that movements continuously rise and they consider you an enemy. Why do the Iranians hate you? Why do they call you the Great Satan? Even if that is changing because Iran itself is also changing, but that might be the subject to another stream. You supported the Shah. You and the British. You both supported him because you were getting money and oil out of it. And then the movement or the religious zealots, it grew because there was enough fuel to stoke that fire. And you gave them that fuel. And now your president is toying with the chance of again attacking Iran because Israel wants to attack Iran because they're in a battle of influences in that area. And again, there will probably be a war. And again, we are going to, in Europe, we are going to take in the consequences of your wars that are economic strife and immigrants. And one of the ideas that has been toying around here in Europe is to put all those immigrants, if we were beasts and animals like you, to put them all in ships, in planes, and send them all to you. Because it's your fault. It's your fault. Many of the problems in Europe, it's your bloody fault. And you were our allies. And now you're trying to preach us moral. Like that Danish MP said in the parliament regarding your shit about Greenland. Let me say this in words you can understand. Americans. Fuck off. You have no morals to tell us what to do. Neither do you, and I'm just talking about you again. I am repeating this. I am repeating this again and again. Today, the stream, sorry, I was going to make a stream, but this video is solely about the United States of America. Not talking about the Russians and the Soviet Union, China, Europe, whatever. Not even talking about the UK. But the UK always comes up because they are like the little lapdogs of the Americans. Sorry. Especially sorry to my Scottish friends. You are in that party uninvited, forced in. But until this is one of the things that with these issues right now are going to come back and bite the United States in the ass. Because people will remember these hatreds. People in Brazil will remember the dictatorships of Jânio Quadros, for example. In Chile, they will remember Pinochet. In Argentina, they will remember all of those dictators. And even if he is a different person and he is trying, I think he's a bit deluded, but I also think that he's an honest guy. The Milei is the current president. I think he's really trying to do something. I don't agree with his methods. I frankly don't think it will have the outcome he wants. But again, that might be a subject to another video in which I will get myself ready, read about, because as you can see, I really don't make a script about it. I just consider what I'm going to talk about it. No, I memorize certain aspects. For example, the name of the Shah of Iran, Reza Pahlavi. You know, the parts, the parties that were in that specific specific historical event in Vietnam. I saw that piece about the consequences of Agent Orange. This is how I make my videos because thankfully I have a big memory. And if I'm wrong, look, point it out. And if I'm wrong, I am wrong. You should fact check everything. You should finish up seeing a news, and then you should see other reliable news outlets so that you could understand what was happening. There are plenty of encyclopedias in the world, written in paper. And right now, because of the advent of our society, books are cheap. No? One day I will show you, but I'm looking now here at my desk, and I have around 7 or 8 or 9 shelves filled with books. There is a lot of information here. And you say, well, you can have it on your computer. And I can tell you, yes, I also have it in my computer. But I also have these sources that were created in the time the events were happening. This is a way of fact checking. Unless you are reading scientific or historical books that are outdated. For example, many years ago, people did not know how the pyramids were done. Right now, we know. They did dirt, ramps, they carried the stones, and they built the pyramids. So when you see those conspiracy theories about what is beneath the pyramids, oh, it's a reactor, it's a coil. You can look at that and say, are you mad? Do you not trust in the capability of people in doing mathematics, in learning how to solve complex things? Engineers here, for example, and I have heard that really baffles American engineers. They are forced to learn how to make calculations in their heads because there are situations in which you cannot trust a machine. I'll tell you the same thing. I won't talk about my present work, but I was a baker up until my late 20s. Son, grandson, great grandson, whatever. It goes back countless generations. We were either the baking bread or we were fighting in wars. Go figure. Maybe that's why I'm so bulky. But when I'm baking, and I still do it to this day, I still bake bread, cakes, whatever. It relaxes me, and sometimes I want to eat something decent and give something decent to eat to my family. Not that the quality of the food here is bad, but different. I don't need to measure things. When I take a piece of dough, I know how much it weighs. I pick up a seine and I know how much it weighs. Mm. Why? Because I got used to it. Because it was quicker to do some artisanal work that has to be done that way, to take off the dough, to roll it, you know, to treat the dough. And there is nothing better than this. This five finger tool you have here. These are practical things. And just as I am having this practical approach on things, Americans must consider they should have this practical approach on things too. How do you think the Chinese felt when Mr. Vance called them peasants? How do you think the Europeans felt when Mr. Vance told them he did not care about Europe and they better learn how to defend themselves? When we have come also so many times in your defense, we have supported you. Like I said in other videos, we have bought your inferior cars, your inferior tech. Why? Out of habit and because you were our friends and we wanted to support you. This is why I keep saying that even if you survive Trump and you have another president that is a decent person, a normal person, that has a normal attitude towards the world, this bond of trust is broken. And the only way you can recover a minimal part of all of this is to simply do what I started talking about in the beginning when I began this stream. Many things. Show an intent. Sometimes even showing you are ready to help someone, even if you are only able to do a little. You know, it's like when someone loses a loved one. I never know what to say. Okay, first because I understand that pain, and secondly because what are you going to say to a person in that conditions? What are you going to say except maybe a helping hand, hugging the person, being there physically, being there by the phone, being there, phoning, asking, how are you? Are you all right? And just say sorry. It's nothing you can do because it's something that already happened. And we should not dwell excessively on what could have been. The could have been makes no sense. We are only living in the present. you know. And right now you are seeing Trump, for example. Why do you think he's been backing on so many things? Because he knows what is happening. But I think you in America, you don't know really what is happening. Well, this has been a long one. I hope you did not get bored, and I hope you have. I don't know. Maybe my words have triggered some kind of idea in you. Okay. Now, thank you for listening to me. Goodbye.